You're listening to the Essential Word on the Street audio Bible, published by Zondervan and read by Rob Lacey.
First off, nothing but God. No light, no time, no substance, no matter. Second off, God says the word and whap, stuff everywhere. The cosmos in chaos, no shape, no form, no function, just darkness, total, and floating above it all, God's Holy Spirit, ready to play. Day one, God's voice booms out, light, and from nowhere, light floods the skies and night is swept off the scene. God gives it the big thumbs up, calls it day. Day two, God says, I want a dome, call it sky, right there between the waters above and below. And it happens. Day three, God says, too much water. We need something to walk on, a huge lump of it, call it land, and let the sea lick its edges. But it's too plain, it needs color, vegetation, loads of it, a billion shades. The earth goes wild with trees, bushes, plants, flowers, fungi. Yes, says God. Day four, we need a schedule. Sun for the day, moon for the night. I want seasons, years, and give us stars, masses of stars. Think of a number, add 1 trillion, times it by the number of trees. We're talking huge. Day five. Okay, animals, 1 million different types of each. Let's have some fun with the shapes, sizes, colors, textures. He smiles. Results. Day 6. Then God says, let's make people like us, but human, with flesh and blood, skin and bone. Caretakers of the vegetation, game wardens of all the animals. Their job description? Make babies, run the planet well, enjoy. God looks at everything he's made, says, fantastic, I love it. I love it. Heaven on earth. Home. Day 7. Job done. The cosmos and the earth complete. God takes a bit of well-earned R&R and just enjoys. Let's keep this day of the week special. A battery recharge day. Rest day. First day back to work, God sets Adam and Eve a rule. Just one. Eat the organic groceries off any of the 1,000,000 trees, except the tree of knowing the difference between good and evil. Eat from that one, and you die. But the snake, the undisputed king of sly, does some word twisting and dupes them into the costliest snack in history. One munch, and enter mess. Stage right. Footnote, mess, twistedness, selfishness, deceitfulness. Mess. God tells them, look, here comes death, strolling in. No more heaven on earth. There'll be pain, there'll be crying, there'll be grieving. You two, out of this garden now. So death's in charge. And top of the human wish list is liberation. But when? How? Who? Fast forward from Adam and Eve. They make babies and world population stats increase, as does the mess. The evil to good ratio goes through the roof and turns God's stomach. Enough, he shouts. Waterworld. Good guy, Noah Lamekson, accepts the zookeeper job, and only he, his close family, and the animals survive the flood on their zoo ship. They look out to see God's rainbow-coloured guarantee. Never again, God promises. The snake? Was he on the zoo ship? The undisputed king of Sly, wearing his slick suit, strides into God's courtroom. Listen, God, the only reason Job is your Mr. Good Guy is because, well, he's not about to bite the hand that feeds him. I've lost everything. My money, my family, my health. But I know my liberator's out there, somewhere. When's he gonna show? Till then, I'll lie low. Then we get the first Jew. God goes online, says, Abraham, emigrate. En route, God promises Abraham will be father figure to a great nation, through which the liberator will show. Death will die, and heaven on earth will be back on the agenda. But God's promise is stuck on pause. No baby. And body clocks are ticking toward the 100 mark. Abraham sidelines his wife, Sarah, and sleeps with his servant girl, Hagar. Result: baby Ishmael. And a different nation kicks off. The Arabs. Finally, Sarah gets pregnant and Isaac's born, second-generation Jew. God says Jews and Arabs will always be at war. Isaac Abrahamson, now a teenager, nearly gets sacrificed, but God's just testing commitment levels. Abraham passes, colours flying. Next branch down the family tree is Esau's twin, Jacob Isaacson, who has a right attitude problem, but wrestles with God till he gets a name change to Israel. Jacob, a.k.a. Israel, fathers 12, including Joseph Dream Boy Jacobson, who alienates his big brothers with his outrageous designer jacket, and the brotherly fashion police sell him off to Egypt. Handy that, since there's a famine in the offing, and God's passion for his people means he's networking for Joseph Dream Boy behind the scenes and gets him promoted from prisoner to Minister of Agriculture. With Joseph as Egypt's number 2, the nation rides out the boom and bust years of feast and famine. And Israel's family connections mean they move down to Egypt, and the 12 tribes of Jews survive. 400 years on, regime changes in Egypt mean the Jews are the victims of institutional racism and demoted to slave status in the sweatshops of Egypt. Baby Moses Leveson escapes Pharaoh's infanticide and floats from slave to Prince of Egypt in the very first Moses basket. More water under the bridge, and God uses a burning bush as a mic, and the adult Moses delivers the message to Pharaoh. God says, "My people, let them go." God who? Me? Losing my workforce? You're having a laugh. God shows he's deadly serious, with 10 plagues building up to the big one. Sudden death syndrome for the eldest boy of every Egyptian family. Jewish families get tipped off, and blood on the front door means the carnage angel flies by Jewish homes. This is the first Flyby Festival, a permanent public holiday, even today. Liberation. The Jews leg it, crossing the Red Sea in spectacular style, on dry land, and into the desert beyond. God does daily deliveries of heaven harvest bread, and also downloads the contract to Moses. The Big 10 Rules. Number 1. I'm your God. I get total priority. You won't have any of the gods distracting you or taking your attention away from me. I'm the only God. No other god's worth squat. Number 2. You won't idolize anything of any shape. You won't waste your time polishing them or showing them off to your mates or looking to them for the big answers of life, because I get jealous. Number 3. You won't use my name lightly, as some sort of magic word supposed to blackmail me into action. You won't use it as a swear word. If you do, you won't go unpunished. Number 4. You will keep my rest day special. You work 6 days, do all you've got to do, then the 7th day is my day. Number 5, you will treat your parents with respect. Then you'll live long and prosper in this new land I'm moving you into. Number 6, you won't snuff out a life. Stop someone's clock, drop, erase, hit, top, waste anyone. You won't. Number 7, you won't sleep around. Put it about. Cheapen yourselves. You won't. Number 8, you won't thieve, blag, fleece, lift, nick, get sticky-fingered. You won't. Number 9, you won't deceive, lie, fib, fudge, in or out of the witness box. You won't. Number 10, you won't drool over your mate's wife, stroke, husband, depending. Or anything they have and you don't. You won't. They're a stroppy lot. They mess up on all 10.
I'm dying out here. Wish I'd never been born. But I know my liberator's out there somewhere. When's he gonna show? Till then, I'll lie low.
So God leads them up the desert path for 40 years till a whole generation's pegged it, including Moses. Joshua Nunson takes over from Moses and tells them God's directive. I want you gutsy and going for it. Joshua leads them through the River Jordan, action replay of Moses, on dry land, into a land with milk and honey on draft. Occupied by Philistines, but worth fighting for. Once Joshua and co are off the scene, the Jews are sucking up to the gods of Baal, where they pick and mix their gods as suits the mood, where the buzz phrase is, if it feels good, just do it. God's well angry. They've trashed the contract, burnt their history books, treated me like I don't exist. The commentator sums up the whole era with, these days, with no king to call the shots, everyone does their own thing. The people know it's not hanging together, so they cajole God into giving them a king. Saul Kishan. But the appointment misfires. God's got regrets. Next in line is David Jesserson, but the young sheep-minder singer-songwriter has to wait for Saul to work his notice before he gets to feel the weight of the crown on his head. David's large hit, track 23 in the greatest hits compilation, You Comfort Me. Triggered by his early work in sheep security. What more do I need? What's better at the center? You sit me down, put my best CD on. My soul remembers who I am again. You call me to the streets, you show me such good things, right things with no hidden strings. Just your name on, and it's game on. Your great repute like a distant flute, it comforts me. Go with me. dancer. I know that you know the answer, and the battle won't rattle me. You're around, and I found your empathy, your symphony, your sympathy that comforts me. You lay at a table, you sit me down. My rivals arrive from the greatest to the least, but my cup's kept full, my head's held high, and you boast about me. You least priest, you make them toast me right through the feast. Boy, does it comfort me. Meantime, more hassles for King Saul on the Philistine front. 9 feet worth of the giant Goliath. But David sorts him with a pebble and a sling. And God, obviously, shot. In good time, Saul dies, leaving the crown to God's man, David. King David does a better job on the Philistines, and things are looking good. He runs things fair, right and good. Until his wandering eye screws things up. He messes up on rule number 10 by drooling over another man's wife. He messes up on rule number 7 by sleeping with her. And then number 6, when he kills the hubby to cover his tracks. God's really furious and sends a courier. Footnote, courier. Think DHL, UPS. But quick. The courier Nathan gets David out of denial and facing the music. Crisis track 51. Mercy me, mercy me. Happily ever after? Do they heck? It's a royal family soap opera of personal tragedy and political upheaval. Incestuous rape, revenge murders, family rifts, conspiracy, revolt. Somehow God pulls him through, and King David dies an old man. And his son, Solomon, asks God for wisdom to run the thing. God comes up with the goods. Some of Solomon Davidson's wise one-liners. Build your life on the good as God sets in place, not the flimsy scaffolding of your own good ideas. In everything you take on, put God top of the credits list and he'll direct you. Don't talk to a mirror and expect to lip-read the answers to life. Giving God respect, giving evil the cold shoulder is better than double the daily dose of vitamins and minerals. You can scheme all you like, but nothing succeeds if God's got other ideas. Choose someone who knows stuff, not just someone who has stuff. Train children to click on what's right when they're young. They'll be downloading it long after you're gone. Solomon builds God his HQ. Footnote, HQ, place where God's in the house. Awesome. And builds himself a palace. Outrageous. Every interior decor mag wants exclusive photo rights. Even the Queen of Sheba comes visiting. See, Solomon's a young romantic, writing
love poetry to his lady.
Your eyes are like spring water pools, and I'm a waterfall. Diving in, diving in, diving in. Your voice carries your ideas like a chauffeur-driven Merc. Your hair flows like good wine, resting on your sleek shoulders, drawing my eyes down to your perfect... Sorry, just after Psalms. Lads. Thing is, as Solomon gets older, his romantic side warps and he develops a soft spot for foreign women. That'll be his waterbed. His 1,000 wives slowly erode his 100% loyalty to God. He's involved with child sacrifice. His wisdom's out the window. He ends up depressed, disillusioned, filling up his journals with stuff like... What's the point? What is the point? Total waste of space. The last page of his journal reads, "Respect God and live his way." That's all I know.
Job is facing hell on earth. Mess happens. He's lost everything, but he toughs it out with God, hits him with 1,000,000 questions before God finally comes back with more questions. Job, have you ever told the sun, okay, you can rise now? Can you tell the stars where to go? Can you drag the bear by its lead and tie it to the plough? How come you talk so much when you know so little? I know nothing. Except my liberator's out there somewhere. He will show. Till then, I'll lie low. We're back with Solomon stuffing it and the kingdom splintering into Israel in the north and Judah in the south. Both halves compete to wind God up the most, consistently breaking rule number 1 by chasing foreign gods with male prostitution rituals and worse. God sends memos through his couriers, but the Jews aren't picking up their messages. Whole lists of naff kings spiralling deeper into depravity. The occasional blip where standards make a comeback, followed by a huge bungee jump straight back down.
Courier Elijah Tishbiten gives the Jews an ultimatum on Mount Carmel. God versus Baal. Who are you going to lean on? The people stay stum. Elijah sets the rules. 2 bulls, 2 altars, 1 God. The one who provides the matches for the sacrifice, he's the genuine article. Baal's reps are giving it, ooh, Baal, Baal, ooh, Baal, Baal, ooh. Got a light? Nothing. Elijah lengthens the odds on his bull getting a roasting by adding water, then saying, God, prove it. Huge lightning bolt, perfect shot. It zaps into the dead meat on the altar till it's all just steam and ash. The Jews hit the deck. God is God. He's our God. The only God worth what? Yeah! After Elijah comes his apprentice Elisha Shaphatson, with the same role, keeping Israel in the north online to God. Tough call, with generations of naff kings screwing up the people.
Elisha dies, and God's on the hotline to the courier Amos Tekoaton. God says, can't stand your religion. Turns my stomach. I detest your meetings and your songs. Please, just shut up, will you? Doing my head in. If I hear one more tambourine, I am going to scream. What I want to hear is the roaring river of justice sweeping through your towns. What I want is for the right things you do to wash away the dry, hard, crusted build-up of evil. Put good words through your search engines, not evil ones.
But the corruption just keeps on kicking in. Kicking in the poor, mainly. God's patience with Israel finally runs out. Since Solomon, there's been 200 years of kings screwing up the people. Syria's chomping at the bit for action, so God lets them off the leash. The Assyrian army is sweeping down from the northeast, straight over to our correspondent, Joel Bethulson. It's like a swarm of hungry locusts trashing the Israeli capital, Samaria. But word from God is that, quote, "My people will hide in the eye of my storming anger." Joel Bethulson, Jew News, Samaria. Survivors are being shipped off to Nineveh as slave labour. Homeless. Back to square one. Delete Egypt. Paste in Assyria. All this because they're systematically breaking the contract. God tells them, you won't, 10 times, but they do, 1,000,000 times. They've got selective deafness and wanderingitis. They sacrifice their own children in evil rituals. They contact demons. God has to watch this filth and somehow channel his anger. The short, sharp shock of being kicked out of their home might just get them thinking straight. Might. Which leaves only the Judah tribe in the south, and they're pushing it. Basically the same story. Naff King after Naff King after Naff King. After Naff King, Naff King, Naff King, Naff, 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 courier after courier, warns of Judah in the south getting the same treatment as their Samaritan cousins up in Israel unless they sort themselves out. But it's promises too. Isaiah Amazon hints at how new hearts are possible. It all revolves around the liberator being born. Downloading some love, installing some heaven on earth and sending death to the recycle bin. But right now, they're looking down the barrel of the Babylonian army. The new world superpower trashes Judah's capital. Jeremiah's A to Z of grief. Awesome God, don't wipe us from your memory banks. Look down at the mess we've got ourselves into. Stand-up comics milking our national shame dry. Bloodthirsty, godless foreigners striding into our homes demanding our alarm codes. We're history. You're the future. Heaven will never say, under new management.
Our liberator's out there somewhere. When's he gonna show? God's got more questions. What? Do you think I've lost the plans I drew up for your lives? Have they fallen down the back of my desk or got snarled up in heaven's red tape? No. They're open, on my desk, permanent. They're plans to do you good. Plans to liberate you, give you a home again. I love you.
Similar message clicks open for Isaiah. Can a mum forget she's got a baby smack bang in the middle of breastfeeding? Maybe. But I won't forget you. Your name's tattooed on my palms. But turn up the volume. Blast it out. Isn't religion about getting the heavy-duty cutters on the chains of injustice? Isn't religion about spreading the food out to the starving? About housing the refugees? Dressing the naked, not blanking out your own family? Do this, and I'll answer your questions with my manifesto of liberation, of home, of heaven on earth. They're refugees. But God's still running the show for Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, who are facing a walkabout in a blazing oven for not bowing to a statue the size of the king's ego. The God we work for could pull us out alive. And even if he doesn't, and we fry, there'd be no regrets. No way are we bound down to your gods. They're thrown in, and weird, there's 4 guys strolling round. Chatting. 4th one looking like some kind of god. The king calls them out, and the three guys step out not even smelling like they've been to a barbecue. The king's impressed. No one gives the Jewish god bad press from then on. Soon after, Daniel breaks some new ego-stroking law from the king and gets chucked into the lion's lair, only to get a really good night's kip, courtesy of angelic hands gripping the mouths of hungry predators. Meow. When Persia presses delete on Babylon and takes over as the new world superpower, God saves the whole nation by tipping off Esther and supplying the courage for her to scupper a plan for the total holocaust of the Jews. God's ring-fencing David's family line of the liberator.
The comeback. 70 years of discipline over, loads of Jews come home and lay the foundations for God's trashed HQ. But, surprise, surprise, get sidetracked by doing the DIY on their own places. Courier Haggai. Think about it. You fill your faces, but you never seem to fill your bellies. You pick up your wage packet, then you stuff it into pockets with holes. Everything you bring home, God flushes it straight down the pan. Why? Because his HQ is still a pile of rubble while you lot spending all your spare time doing feng shui on your own pads. Sort it! They do. 70 years after Solomon's old building got battered, God's new HQ is up and even better than before. Ezra, God's rep, speaks for the people. God, our action plan is this. Today we're making a binding agreement. We're putting it in writing. We're keeping the contract starting from now.
And within 80 years, they're back to giving God the butt end of their lives. Malachi's going, "Have your double standards." Then, for about 400 years, seems like God loses his voice. Or maybe he's just not speaking to them. All they have to go on is what he's already said. There will be a liberator. But everything's up in the air. Not only who's this liberator, but also who we're going to need liberating from. Major shifts in world power. Delete Persians, paste in Alexander the Great, the first recorded hooligan, smashing up the Persian capital just for kicks.
Then delete Greeks and paste in Romans, with their Caesars running an upgraded version of slavery, military occupation. Where's the liberator? When's he gonna show?
Top angel Gabriel picks up his work chit for the day. Destination Nazareth. Contact Mary Davidson. Message: God's Holy Spirit will get you pregnant with his liberator. Interesting. Mary's a virgin. She's ecstatic. Joe, her fiancé, isn't. Until Gabriel brings him round to the idea. Meanwhile, all Jews must trek back to their family hometown for registration. So Joe Davidson takes his pregnant fiancée on a donkey to Bethlehem, a.k.a. Davidstown. They arrive, and her waters break. Crisis, no vacancy signs in every B&B window. Joe delivers the baby in a shed full of livestock, old cloth for blankets, animal feeding trough for a cot. It's a boy. First to hear the local sheep security team via an angel choir. They check it out, and it's true. Next few weeks, the pubs echo with Liberator talk. Later, Eastern astrologers get supernatural cosmic directions and deliver their presents to the miracle baby. Gold, incense oil, and myrrh. The Davidsons moved back up to Nazareth, then virtually nothing. Brief glimpse of Jesus at 12. Apart from that, all we get is that he's not a typical teenager. He does what he's told. Next we hear Jesus is 30 and launching into Impact Year 1 by getting dunked by John Baptizer in the Jordan River. God adds his voiceover through heaven's PA system. You're my son. I'm passionate about you and everything you do. Then for 40 days, Jesus swats off Satan, who's offering him the easy life of power and fame on his terms. Heaven's a bit low on angel numbers. Most of them seem to be in the desert, backing Jesus up. Back in civilization, he's at a wedding in Cana. Plenty of keeping up with the Coens going on. Then, disaster. We've run out of wine! Jesus works the first of loads of supernatural showings by producing 600 litres of vintage wine from jars of foot-washing water.
Next up, Jesus walks into the religious HQ at Jerusalem and thinks he's in a market. Animal stench, sale signs, you'll go coo at our dove deals. Traders shouting, spill a sheep here, spill a sheep here. A spotless sheep here. An aquarium of loan sharks sort out the credit scams. Jesus makes a rope whip and drives the animals into stampede. Kicks the cash kiosks out of business. Get this filth out of here. My father's place is no shopping mall. The religious leaders are frantically working out how to eliminate him.
Not all the religious leaders are paid-up members of the Tutting Club. One guy, Nick Odemus, corners Jesus late one night with questions. Coach, what about all this heaven on earth stuff then? Jesus says, no one gets to see it unless they're reconceived, redeveloped, redelivered, then reborn. 2 birthdays. One physical, one spiritual. But the top religious teacher says he doesn't get it. And this is just the ABC. So Jesus changes tack. God's so passionate about the planet that he donates his one and only son. Whoever invests their life in his son doesn't die, but gets given this limitless life. Do you think God sends his son to slam people down? No. He sends his son to liberate people. Bring heaven on earth. End of Impact Year 1. Jesus finalizes his Team 12. Impact Year 2 gets going with Jesus saying, I'll tell you who'll laugh last. The people who know they're a mess. Their ticket to heaven's already in the post. First class. I'll tell you who'll be happy. The people who know about grief and face it. God's going to put his arm around them. I'll tell you who'll be content. Those who don't go round grabbing. They'll get given the world. Who'll be laughing? The people who only want to do the right thing. Their good news in tray will be piled high. Who'll be laughing? The people who forgive and forget. They'll get treated likewise. Who's laughing? The people who aren't polluted with stuff that mugs the heart. They'll get to see God. Who's laughing? The people who turn fists into high fives. They'll get known as God's children. Who's laughing? The people who get slapped down for doing the right thing. They'll get given the security code to heaven's gates. And you're laughing. If people pick on you because you're with me, then throw a party. Your bonus in heaven's hitting the humongous mark.
Right in the heart of this, he gives them a template for talking with God. God in heaven, you're our dad. We respect everything you stand for. We want others to stand up for you too. Please bring heaven on earth, people living life your way like the angels do. Please bring us what we need to keep us going each day. Please acquit us as we cancel our grievances and throw them all away. Please pull us back from the edge of evil if we're falling, or being thrown, because you're all that matters. You're able to do it. You're to take the credit. You're on your own. It's your throne. Absolutely.
Jesus' Heaven on Earth tour is about feeding them as many stories, images about God's ways as they can handle, without giving them indigestion. Nothing's explained. It's all in pictures and story form. Only the Team 12 get explanations, and then only backstage. Images of heaven on earth in everyday stories. Moving into Impact Year 3, and the keyword morphs from popularity to opposition. Jesus isn't helping him. Death wish or what? He's winding up the religious strict and particulars like he doesn't want there to be a tomorrow. But for the general public, Jesus is still in miracle doctor mode. About 15,000 people have spent all day watching him making crutches redundant, liberating blind dogs from their leads. They're famished. Jesus wants them fed. The guys, Pete, Jono, Judas, rustle up 5 bread rolls and 2 fish. Jesus thanks God, starts handing them round the team, who hand them round the crowd. No one asks for seconds. They're stuffed full. 15,000 minimum. There's 12 huge doggy baskets left over. Story time again. Jesus goes, this guy gets mugged on the Jericho Road. He's left half naked, 2/3 dead. One of the God reps strides past, sees him and crosses the road to avoid him. Next past is an HQ worker, sees him, does the same, crosses the road to avoid him. Next past is Sam Arreton. Sam, second-class, half-Jew, low-life Arreton, as some would call him. Let's just call him Sam, yeah? Sam sees him. What do you reckon? I tell you what, multiple choice. A, walks on past. B, goes over and see if they've left any money. Or C, kicks 7 bells out of him. Any idea? And the answer is D. Yes, D. Cleans his injuries, lifts him onto his donkey, walks into the next country pub, pays for bed and full board, promising to cover the excess if the bill tots up to more. Who is this storyteller? Major debates. The public swing between courier and liberator. Pete's sold on him being God's son. The religious suits are convinced he's a con artist. Probably Jesus' most famous story is aimed directly at the Tutting Club. This factory owner's got 2 sons. Kid brother's had enough. Virtually wishes the old man dead. I want my half of the inheritance. Sharpish. Dad hands over the dosh. Son leaves home, flies off to foreign climes where he's filling the glasses of the designer set with his liquid assets. Of course, the money goes down the pan. So do the friends when they realise he's skint. So he finds a site called www.worstjobspost.com and ends up cleaning out the pigsties. Then a light bulb goes on, just above his head. What am I doing? I'll hitchhike home, beg me dad for a job. Before he gets there, his dad sees him, runs out, throws his arms around him, tells his PA, arrange the biggest street party ever. Me son was virtually dead and he's come back. Let's party. Don't you just love a happy ending? Tough. See, Jesus knows the religious suits are tuned in. The big brother's rant, and the dad goes, "I've slogged me guts out, slaving over your accounts. Did you ever throw a party for me? No. But this waster comes crawling back and, oh yeah, he gets the full treatment. Thanks for nothing." The religious leaders know which part's theirs. More Shamtax on the barbecue.
The suits call an emergency board meeting. Plan B, anyone? Caiaphas, the chairman of the board, pulls rank. Weigh it up. Which is better? One guy to be got rid of, or a whole nation to go under? Day 1 of the Kill Jesus deliberations turning into a concrete plan.
Quick time check. Flyby Fest weekend minus 6 days. Jesus knows Jerusalem is dangerous for him. But he goes anyway. Gets confrontational with the religious leaders. All of your shelves of rule books. I could write them on the back of a business card. Love God with everything you've got, and love others as you love yourself. Still space for a signature. But you lot love tying people down with your shoulds, your musts, your have-tos, your two-faced fakers, conmen, phonies, doing your religion just for the celebrity ratings. But you look fantastic. He's like a different guy with the public, talking up their prospects, and with the team, warning them not to hit the panic button when all the mess kicks in before he comes back as ruler. When I come back, I'll sit on my throne and separate people out. Sheep on my right side, goats on my left. I'll say to the sheep, I owe you. When I was starving, you made me meals. I was a loner in the corner. You opened out the circle and brought me in. When my clothes weren't up to the job, you went through your cupboards for me. When my health was bad, you nursed me back to strength. I was in my prison cell. You made the visiting hours. When? When did we make you meals, or bring you into the circle, or give you our clothes, nurse you, visit you? I'll tell them. Truth is, every good thing you've done for the lowest of the low, my sisters, brothers, it's like you did it for me. But the goats, I was starving, and you moaned about being overweight. I was a loner. You told me to get a life. I was freezing cold. You told me to jump up and down. I was ill. You told me to snap out of it. I was locked up. You couldn't even be bothered to make the trip to rub my nose in it. Whoa, hang on, say the goats. We wouldn't be like that with you. With someone like you, we'd be thoughtful, sensitive, inclusive, generous, caring. I'll say, truth is, the lowest of the low is someone like me. So whatever you didn't do for them, you didn't do for me. Get out of my sight. Permanent punishment. Those who did the right thing, they enjoy limitless life. Heavy stuff. 2 days and counting to the Flyby Festival. 2 days and pressure mounting till betrayal, beatings, and execution. And the sequel. Next evening, the Thursday, Jesus and the team are sitting round a table for the traditional Flyby Festival meal. Jesus passes round a bread loaf to Jono, on to Pete, round to Judas, round all 12. This bread symbolises my body, ripped apart for you. Reenact this meal as a memory trigger. don't forget me. Then he passes round the wine. Let's all drink from the same thing. It'll be my last till heaven on earth is more than just talk. Next, he's washing their stinking feet. Pete swears blind. I'll stick with you, thick and thin. But Jesus says, by the time the rooster does his next alarm bell impression, you'll have denied you even know me 3 times. After all this, some final speeches from Jesus, including his one big ask from his Father. Make them united, going for one thing together, like we do. By now, it's getting late on Thursday evening. They come to Gethsemane Park. Jesus starts getting sucked down into a black hole of mental torture. Dad, is there no way round? With you, everything's possible. Do I have to drink it all down? Whole cup. Please. Please. But if there's no other way, then carry on with our plan. Let's do it. It's the ultimate dark night of the soul, and Pete, Jono, and Jim are having a kip. Early hours of Friday morning, Flyby Festival weekend. The sellout specialist, Judas, sneaks into the park with a posse of men wielding bats and knives. Judas seals the deal with a kiss. Jesus is arrested. The team leg it while they can. It's going to be a very bad Friday.
Jesus is taken off. Guards blindfold him, play Guess Who's Feast. They frog march Jesus to Caiaphas' house, where he's in the dock. If you're the liberator, just tell us. He tells them, pretty soon I'll be sat there on my throne next to awesome God. So you reckon you're God's son now, do you? You said it, Jesus answers. Only one verdict. The death penalty. Meanwhile, Pete sidled his way into Caiaphas' backyard. The servants half recognize him as one of Jesus' team, but he's not having it. They push him, and he's still denying it. Third time they come back, and Pete swears blind. I've never met Jesus. On cue, the rooster does his wake-up call, and Pete's thick and thin speech comes back to him, like vomit. Across the city, Judas picks up the death sentence rumors and realizes what he's done. Tops himself. Bad Friday. Caiaphas and cronies pass Jesus over to the Roman governor, Pilate, who has to ratify any death sentence. It's still early hours. Pilate's in his dressing gown. You're not going to argue your own defense, or what? Pilate's nonplussed, so he passes Jesus over to King Herod. But Jesus is still exercising his right to remain silent, and Herod gives up quizzing him and passes Jesus and the buck back to Pilate. The religious leaders have hyped up the crowd. Execute him, Roman style. Pilate gets symbolic with a bowl of water. Hey, you're looking at me. None of his blood's on my hands, all right? The Roman soldiers manhandle Jesus, stick a purple robe on him, and press a mock crown of thorn stems down hard on his head. They're giving him verbal, gobbing in his face, whacking him across the head with their javelins, across the back with a lead-tipped whip. They slam a heavy, rough-hewn plank across his raw shoulders and tie him to it by both wrists, lead him through the crowds to be executed at Skull Hill, where a soldier drives heavy, wrought iron nails through Jesus' wrists, stapling him onto the crossbar. Another huge nail through his ankles into the upright stake. They call it crucifixion. Time check. Friday, 9 a.m. Jesus groans, "Dad, don't hold what they're doing against them. They've got no idea what's going on here." Hours of grief. Time check. Friday, 12 midday. It goes dark. Totally dark for 3 full hours. The different biographers are standing in different places. They hear different things. Mark tells Pete's angle. Jesus draws in a last breath and calls out, my God, why have you abandoned me?" His last words. He dies. Jono heard, "Done. It's done." He dies. Dr. Luke writes it like this: "Dad, I trust you with my soul." He dies. Matt's memory of it is just one last shout before he dies. He dies. He's buried.
The religious leaders get Pilate to block the tomb cave with the mother of a boulder, and guards to stop Jesus' old team from stealing the body and spreading comeback propaganda. As if the team are up for any heroics. Irony is, Flyby Saturday's supposed to be party time. The day Jews remember God liberating them from slavery in Egypt. Instead, the team, minus Judas, spend the whole day huddled together, totally disillusioned, scared stiff, silent, depressed beyond words. Pete's the most morose. "I blew it." Early dawn. Sunday. The 3 Marys, Jesus' mum, his aunt, Mary Mag, get to the tomb cave with the burial spices. But the boulder's been shoved to one side. No soldiers. They go in and there's no body. Just 2 angels lighting up the whole cave asking, "Why are you looking in a grave for someone who's alive and well? He's back. He'd said he'd come back after 2 days, remember?" Suddenly, they do. He told them and they'd missed it. Mary Mag got to see him. Live. Jesus just said, "Mary." She knew. Coach? The guards are bribed to recite the official story. Your line is, there was an ambush. Lots of violence. They looted the tomb. Then they started the gossip. Jesus is back. Then they started the gossip. What was the next bit? Jesus is back. Is he? No. Oh, right. The cover-up's swallowed whole by most. But Mary Mag didn't get the only sighting. The team, plus over 500 more, got to see him, some more than once, including Pete, who gets reinstated with a top job of setting up the Jesus Liberation Movement. All of them get a new job description. Spread out. Worldwide, help people commit 100% to my way of life. Get them on board, and God, the Holy Spirit, and I will underwrite them all. I'm with you. 24/7. No. 24/7, 52. Right to the end. He's still coaching them, inspiring them, motivating them, doing them good. He starts going up to heaven. They're mind blown. Blown over. Overawed. Awestruck. Struck dumb. Dumbfounded. Found. Speechless. Less is more. Now, tick off 7 weeks from the Flyby Festival and you're at the Jewish Thanksgiving holiday.
You're with me, and you comfort me.
Jesus Squad, about 120, are hanging out together in Jerusalem.
You're with me, and you comfort me.
From nowhere, a wild wind, flames spreading out, zapping everyone.
You're with me, and you comfort me.
No one even gets first-degree burns, just filled up with God's Holy Spirit.
You're with me, and you comfort me.
Suddenly, they're supernaturally fluent in languages they've never even heard of. Being Thanksgiving, Jerusalem's packed full of religious Jews. Pete gives a talk. The rest translate, and everyone gets to hear the news about Jesus being the liberator in their own language. Pete's going. Jesus, held by death? Just not possible. God gave Jesus a hand up and out of the grave. We saw him with our own eyes. So turn right back round to God. A full 180 degrees. Go public, get baptized. Your mess will be sorted. Plus, you'll get God's Holy Spirit free.
Let it rip,
Let it rip,
sing it strong.
sing it strong.
Let his crew take the roof off this celebration song. Let it rip.
So, the Jesus Liberation Movement is launched. In one day, JLM membership shoots from 120 to 3,000. They're totally committed, hanging on every word the team teaches, into community big time, never missing the symbolic bread and wine meal, spending hours talking with God. And the locals love it. No hassles over noise levels or parking rights. They think it's great. But guess, the religious leaders don't. Saul Benson's one of them. He's spending every drop of adrenaline on liquidating the JLM. He's en route to official business in Damascus when this almighty blast of light smacks him full in the face. This voice booms out like something from a stadium gig. Thank you for nothing, Saul. Sir, who are you? I'm Jesus, who you're abusing. Saul's blind for 3 days. Till he has his eyes opened to a new life as Jesus' foreign rep. And a new name. While Paul with a P is taking some pre-job training in the Saudi desert, Pete's kicking his racism into touch and catching on to the idea of the JLM being a global phenomenon.
Limitless love in line with your passion for me. Wipe out the mess, wash off my filth, clean up my life. Oh, mercy.
Then loads of emails from paul.benson@thejesusliberationmovement.org. Paul lays down the big picture. He was God. But he said, I give it up. I give it up. He put on flesh and blood, skin and bone, stepped down from his heavenly throne to his new earth home. A baby, a boy, a normal guy, and more. He allowed himself to die. And more, nailed up high, crucify, purify. So God brought him back, celebrated him, elevated him to the top spot, so his enemies will stop, appalled, as heaven on earth is installed. But it's more than just theory. Paul sums it up in one word: love. Yeah. Love gives people space and time. It does people good. It's not jealous, loud-mouthed, big-headed. It's not vulgar. It doesn't look after number one. It's not got a short fuse. It forgives and forgets. Love doesn't smile when dark stuff goes on, but throws a party when the truth gets out. Love protects more than a Hollywood hero. Love trusts more than a toddler. It's always positive and always hangs in there. Love doesn't let you down. So, give it up for God, your life. Give it up like a sacrifice. A live one. Put your body on the butcher's block, your neck in the noose, and let God's hands hold the controls. This is what being spiritual means. This is worship, making God smile, not what the adverts say. You should have, should do, should be. Keep on becoming more and more outstanding. Literally, standing out as your thinking's freed. Your thinking's freed and freshened up. Regular.
Jono's final memo. The final memo. You're about to find out if there's a happy ending or not. JLM victimization is going through the roof. Jono's already been carted off to a penal colony on Patmos, 1st century Alcatraz. Jesus Shows fits Jono up with a virtual reality headset, running commentary, subtitles, visuals, all designed to give him privileged access into heaven and how things are going to get wrapped up. Jono presses play.
Jesus, the innocent one, cracking open the padlocks on Heaven's script book. Star Wars. Satan spoilers versus angel avengers. Satan's thrown down onto the earth in his dragon kit persona, and he's out for revenge. Two beasts do his dirty work for him. The second one's his head of propaganda. He's tattooing the beast's number, 666, on most foreheads he sees. A few are going for a different logo. What's it say? God's own. Whew. Armageddon. World leaders in full-out battle against Jesus, the voice liberator. War. Satan, prisoner of war. An angel swooping down from heaven, and he's wrapping Satan in the mother of all chains. He's locking the padlocks and setting the timer for 1,000 years. He's hurling Satan into the abyss, and he's locking up after him. No more worming his way into the mindset of the nations, not for 1,000 years. Fast forward through the millennium. Satan's out of solitary confinement. More warmongering, more build-up of troops, but God atomizes them. Satan's thrown violently into the lake of burning sulfur. The sulfur's not running out, and neither is his agony. Ever. A huge, white throne. Sitting there, awesome God. In front of him are all the dead. All of them. The movers, the shakers, the moved, the shaken. All spread out before God's throne. The file marked life is being opened and the dead are judged by what the record shows they've done. Those whose names aren't written in the life files are getting thrown into the lake of fire with Satan and his cronies. They're dying the second death, the death of their souls. Back at God's throne, those registered in the life files are getting total, permanent, unchallenged liberation. New. All of it. Brand new. Nothing of the old heaven or earth left. This pure, perfect city, the New Jerusalem, is floating down out of heaven direct from God. Heaven on earth. An opening announcement. From now on, God's living down there with them. Who's laughing? Right at the end? The people who know they're a mess. Their ticket to heaven's already in the post. First class. There'll be no more pain, no more crying, no more grieving. He'll cancel death. All that mess was in the previous system, and that's history. They'll drink from the spring that gushes with life, no charge. They'll pick at will from the tree of life, no charge. One munch, and exit mess. Stage left. They'll be God's kids. They'll call heaven on earth home. Happy ending? Discuss.
You've been listening to the Essential Word on the Street audio Bible. Text copyright 2004 by Rob Lacey. Production copyright 2004 by Zondervan. No portion of this recording may be reproduced without the prior written consent of the publisher. For more information on other books and audio products from Zondervan, please visit your favorite retailer or visit us online at zondervan.com.